Okay, so it's tomorrow, and what I want to show is, of course, not in frame. That'll work, I guess. So I did end up having to take the bearing apart completely. I actually test reassembled this a little while ago, and it was still making some noises. And I finally figured that it must be some garbage in the main bearing. So if you ever need to take the main bearing out of one of these, it doesn't come out through the top where you would think it does. You have to remove a couple of linkages. This one sits in here, and this kind of sits on top of it with an arm going over this general direction. This is what actuates the record shelf pusher. This is for the 45 stacker spindle. Once you remove all that, you can actually access the bearing. Now, to get the bearing out, you loosen these two screws after making indexing marks. I don't know if you can see, but I just took a magic marker, made a couple of marks. Loosen these two screws, and then this inner sleeve will push out. And when that pushes out, this entire piece here will lift out. The bearing is underneath of this piece that I'm moving here. It's there's a hardened flat washer. There are 5 ball bearings, which are little guys. I put new ones in it because I had them. But if I can even get a hold of this, that is one of the ball bearings. And just for size comparison there, 1 US dime. So these are tiny little guys. That over there. So you lift all this out and you can get to the parts of the bearing. The balls are not captured. They sit in a fiber washer with 5 little holes in them. So when this lifts up, the bearings are likely to go all over the place. So I would very strongly advise taking this apart in a tray of some sort, unless you have a bag of ball bearings for needing to replace them or if you lose them. Let's see, what size are these? I can even get them in the calipers here. So these are 93 thousandths. Whatever fraction that happens to work out to. 3/32, I think. I believe that is 3/32. Let me check. Calculator. Yes, those are 3/32 ball bearings. So anyway, if you happen to lose them, you can get a bag of those from McMaster-Carr or a lot of places. Swap them out. They are magnetic, which is good and bad, which means you can pick them up with a magnetic screwdriver. The problem is they tend to follow the magnetic screwdriver. So if you have a non-magnetized pair of little needle nose, those work very well. A few drops of light oil, which is using my sewing machine oil. The Garrard manual says to use something like sewing machine oil, and sewing machine oil is very much like sewing machine oil. So anyway, I cleaned all that out. I put that back together. I took this inner chrome piece, pulls out of this hat. I cleaned down inside the bore of this part. I cleaned the outer part of the inner shaft there. So everything is clean and about as quiet as it's going to be. There is a rubber O-ring down underneath of all of this. If it's not still flexible, you should replace it. It's just a rubber O-ring. I don't know what size it is off the top of my head. Take it to the hardware store or wherever and match it up. It's not super critical, but it acts as kind of a cushion for and to take up some of the play in here. So yeah, that's that. Now I'm going to put the mechanism back together. Um, Again, I think I did mention this previously, but if you ever have to take one of these apart, make sure you take some pictures before taking any of this apart. That way you know where this linkage goes. Because I know it goes in here basically like this, but to be honest with you, without looking at the picture, I'm not sure precisely what this lever hooks onto. So I'm going to shut the camera off and retrieve my pictures and figure out how it goes back together.